remember sitting in the living room and like looking at him going, I think this is the first time that we didn't go see them. I feel very uneasy about it. Maybe we should go.
That's funny. I saw Enslave the Robots a bunch of times when they played here at O'Malley's, and I didn't know James yet, but I would always see him there. And then eventually at one of your shows got introduced, and that's the thing. And they got introduced to them. Now we're good buddies now, like so.
Good buddies.
Yeah,
That's super cool.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
I think what amazes me is that I go out to see these bands, and I'm like blown away at how good some of these bands are. A lot of these bands are. And then I leave and I go to another show and I'm again amazed. It's like I should already know that I'm going to go see some great acts, but yet it always amazes me how good these musicians are. Like we went to that Coven show. That band was so good.
Yeah, and we always have this moment where it's like, how do people don't know about this band, or how are they not big? Like I have that moment. It's like, why aren't they big? Why don't they, like, you know what I mean? But it's like, there's so much talent out there, and you guys are doing a great thing in showcasing these bands and giving them a spot. Because I know I've talked to a lot of people, and they're always like, I don't know how to get into this place. I don't know how to get into that place. Blah 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 blah. We don't know where to book. And I'm like, what? Like there's so many people trying to put shows together, and I see you guys and then even Jeff with the O'Malley's thing. And if you want to play, there's places to play. Now if you have very exquisite requirements to you playing
green M&Ms,
right? And so some people, like obviously, I only play for 100 people, or if I only pay for this amount of money, then I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like,
there are bands that like can request like a certain amount of money, but for the most part, we don't want to work with venues that aren't supporting the artists, because these are people that are working day jobs, then getting off of work, and then driving, setting up all the equipment, and putting their hearts and souls out there on stage. And you deserve to receive some benefit for that. Right. At least free drinks, like some
kind of compensation.
Some kind of compensation. Yeah, the drink thing, I agree with that, because they're getting something back and everything like that. But sometimes, for me, I think I said this before, is like, if you go to a show and you don't bring anybody. Then it's kind of hard. Like how do you expect, if you didn't promote it, like at least if you didn't do something to kind of bring your buddies or something like that to one of your shows? I get it. Sometimes it's hard, but I mean, I don't think it's that hard, because we've done it and we've been able to fill a whole place up. Or
but I typically have to threaten people's lives. Like, you have to go to my show.
Scotty's
or else.
really good at getting people through the show, because I'm a little not as good. But even when I would try a little bit, I'd get a little bit. You know what I mean? So.
And it is a lot harder to get people out to the midweek shows, and we definitely understand that. But bringing a little bit of a following, just even your friends or some family, always, I mean...
It's kind of make it easier for us to get more shows, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
that's how these shows exist and keep going.
Not only bring people out, but like, please, like, I guess you guys were talking about the etiquette, but stay for the whole night.
Yeah,
that's what we were talking about earlier.
So,
like, we understand. There's certain people that, like...
A lot of the bands are playing for the other bands that are there. Like, that's half the crowd.
Yeah.
But if you're the opener, it'd be nice to see...
And they just leave. That one,
the end.
That one kills me when people
just
just
to support
leave.
the people that are also playing in that one show.
And that's what I'm saying is, I want to see, and this is just me, I want to see other bands at other people's show. Like, show up with
when
your band when they're not playing. Like, I've been, me and Claudio, and like when I was with the 80s on the Moon, me and Claudio would show up to places. Me and Scotty show up to places all the time. We don't necessarily have to be playing to come show support. We don't even, sometimes I don't even know who's playing, but I know that there's a scene, there's a need for support, there's a need for people. Go out there, have a couple drinks. You don't have to stay till 2 a.m., like, just go out and have a couple drinks, and at least you're showing support and you're doing something.
Well, that's why I want to do a punch card, like a Garage to Nowhere loyalty program. So, like, if you're in a bands and you're at a Garage to Nowhere night and your band's not playing, like, come up, talk to me, get a free sticker, let me punch your card, and after 10, I'll give you a hug.
Right.
Hey, that's a valuable hug. I mean, I've had one of those. It's pretty awesome.
And talk about etiquette too. Like whenever we would play and we would see people from other bands, we would always acknowledge them. We have that, like, acknowledge that they're there. And even on our Facebook posts, we would put like, thanks so much from this person that came out, from this band. And that just, I learned that from someone, I think it was an Analog, our friends from Miami, the Analog. They used to, I don't think they do it anymore, but they used to list every single person in their Facebook that had come out to their show that they knew. just thanking them,
wow.
and it just
That's
feels
awesome.
it feels awesome to have that. Like, dude, like that's just
taking
so
time
cool.
and
Yeah,
making
because
it-
they're but how grateful are they? And they play everywhere and everything, and it's like, and that gave me like, you know what, send it forward. Like when we would play, if I see you on there, you're getting tagged, you're getting mentioned, your band is getting some kind of promotion in that access. And we were talking with Jodi about that, like with the whole way here with our music video that we did with Idiots on the Moon. We wanted to have other bands be on it, like James be on it, you guys be on it,
Cross promoting each other.
Right, Laura from Drawing Board at the time, and it just so that we can build this community.
Well, I mean, that's what it's. I mean, again, going back to what we were saying about family, it's family. And if we're not out there supporting each other, having each other's backs, like, who is?
Yeah, right.
There's so much talent in South Florida, and I just think that without you guys helping each other, then nobody's going to make it. Everybody's just going to stay at the same level. Like, the bands really need to be out there supporting each other, helping each other out, creating those contacts, getting the shows put together, and doing their part.
Right. And I think Jodi was telling me too, like with the part where we instead of having this sense, which I think it's a lot out there sometimes, a sense of competition, rather a sense of cooperation and like if I make it, you're gonna make it too because we're all in it together, right?
And there's very few people that we've met that are like that are only in it for themselves. But we hear stories of certain scenes or certain areas where they're like, you know, they just don't enjoy playing as much because the bands aren't there to support each other. It's who's getting more gigs and who, you know, oh, they put them on. Well, we should have been on that show. And it's a competition. And it's like I was saying, there's 30 bands that were just formed in this area tonight, probably. So, like, there's always going to be more bands. There's always venues. There's, you know, there's enough space for everybody. And the more people you meet, then the more people you guys get to make more shows and get more exposure.
We were talking about this on another podcast where I was in a band, and there was one of the bands that we had featured was called Butcher the Fat Tubes.
Oh, I know.
And if they had a show that had needed an act, they would call us up. You guys want to play it? And if we had a show, we would call them.
Right.
And we played this one place, Pipers. And it was another band that came out, saw that we were playing this place is awesome, and the guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, if you guys play here again, put us on the gig. We want to play." Now, I see this band playing all the time. Never once got a message from him, "Hey, we're playing at a place. Why don't you come play with us?" It's always like, "Hey, we want to play your thing because it's awesome, but I mean, what about the reciprocating thing?"
Right.
Well, I mean, you got to scratch each other's backs.
Right.
And
James is awesome about that.
James is fantastic.
Yeah, James is so good from the Fat Tubes. He's just such a cool guy. Like I met him a couple of times, and he's always like,
the whole band is awesome.
Yeah. They're all really, and they always wanted to play shows with us and stuff like that. And I've seen them, so they're really cool.
So when you guys first got started, which bands did you kind of meet and kind of get into this whole thing? Who helped you get into this whole process?
Do you want the whole story or just
the
abridged version? Like,
well, which is more interesting?
I mean, if you're asking, like, none of it, but I don't know. It really started with Sweatpants in Public. And so I met these guys. They work in a building. In a building, yes. They work
work in the fields.
they're
Over
out
the
there in
hot
the forest, just like lumberjacks. No,
we should be a band.
So
this sucks. Let's make a band.
So they're actually brothers. It turns out that they moved down here from New Hampshire to try to make it as a band in South Florida.
They know it's South Florida, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
just checking.
But it turns out, too, that my dad actually back home taught the lead singer high school. So it's like a super small world where I meet this guy randomly. It turns out, that we had this like connection to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Shout out to P-Town.
P-Town,
so they started coming over, hanging out. We had a little recording studio at the apartment. We're, just writing music and stuff like that. They wound up getting a gig at the Parrot Cove in Coral Springs.
Mm-hmm.
We went out to that show. We photographed that show. That's where they met in Slave the Robots.
You guys both are photographers.
She's better.
When we started, we ran just with one camera, and it was mostly him doing the photography. I've always been into photography, and I just got back into it by doing this. And I started playing with the camera, and then we got another camera so we could both have one.
Oh.
She always gets the better camera.
Did they say
like, it's
his-
not
his and
fair?
hers? His and hers? Like,
Yeah, hers.
Well, anyone out there wants to see the photos, you go to Garage to Nowhere on Instagram, and you can see their awesome photography.
And if you
Thank
play
you.
at one of their like if you play a show, you're gonna have a brand new profile pic because
Yeah.
everybody uses
It is
their
such a
profile
compliment.
pic.
That is
see-
the nicest thing.
Yeah, just go through the Facebook feed. And I
Mine
used one of our photos.
my
That's
pic is
exciting.
one of your guys' shows.
All right, so sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
So then Sweatpants met Enslave the Robots. Enslave the Robots got Sweatpants onto a couple of shows. So I went out to support Enslave the Robots, take some photographs, and like that's like kind of how that started. And then those two guys, and then we started meeting Modern Natives, and then so we're at O'Malley's every Thursday. O'Malley's was having local music Thursdays. I introduced myself to the sound guy,
Jeff.
Jeff Martin.
Jeff
Yeah.
Martin,
That's
best,
a good
best
friend.
sound guy in South Florida.
Yeah, he's an
Yeah.
awesome recording guy too. He doesn't do that much anymore, but he's awesome. Yeah.
Asked him, I was like, Jeff, like, we come here every Thursday. Could I host a show? And he's like, heck yeah, that's one Thursday I don't have to book.
Yeah,
Like,
I can see him
I was
doing
like,
that. That's
all
cute.
right. And so we put on, it was Sweatpants in Public, Enslave the Robots,
And
and
Polarity
9.
9.
Was
Yeah.
our first
Oh,
show.
you guys know.
Yeah.
June 29th.
That's
2017.
important date.
2017.
That's so cool.
From then on, we started like once a month at O'Malley's. And then Johnny was friends with Enslave the Robots. And he started working at Dive Bar. And he was like, help me out. I was like, all right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
You know what? Like I think I was just talking to Jodi on the way to the car here. We had a long
A long-
conversation.
a
I was
long
like, this
car
should have
ride.
been. I was like, this should have been the podcast.
You should
Forget
record.
those guys. I was gonna record it, and it was. I've gotten so many friend requests, and it's all because I've been hanging out with these guys because so many are
we're
just.
making you popular?
Yeah, you're making.
Why are we popular? What the
You're
heck?
making me super popular. I've gotten so many friend requests for like, and it's all band people. And usually I don't accept people I don't know, but your Sweatpants in Public, Jerry?
Yep. Jerry.
Yeah, I got a friend request from him. I got a bunch of people that just reach out, and I accept all of them because we were saying it's
Part of the community.
part of the community, and
Yeah.
we're networking, and we're
Great way to
making friends.
So at this point, it's a good point. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. I'm going to hit you guys with some trivia and
Yay.
more
I've
questions.
been waiting for this.
I'm
I've been
so
studying
excited.
so many facts.
All
You
the
guys
wrong
are-
ones.
right
all
now-
the wrong ones.
You
I
have
have
no
lost-
idea what I'm going to ask you because I picked out some really good questions.
Okay,
Oh,
We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
I'm gonna win this time. I think.
you never win.
Rico and I are having a great time making this podcast.
And we want to keep doing this.
So please subscribe to our channel
Get the word out.
and let others know about us.
And now back to our show.
All right, welcome back. You guys ready to do some trivia?
You
Oh,
guys
yeah.
ready to
Born ready.
lose? You guys ready to be destroyed?
You guys going to work as a team or are you separate? You
Oh, separate. Let's do separate.
All right.
She doesn't want to be on my team.
So do you want to be on my team?
Judy, you want me to
Oh,
have
it
my
was
team?
it was a special ride over here, wasn't it? That's
The
it.
guy that knows the answers.
That's right. All right, number one. At a gig, this band was refused entry because they weren't on the guest list. After forcing their way in, the band was able to play the show, and because the record label was there, were eventually signed. Which of these was that band?
Ooh.
Was it A, the Stone Roses, B, Green Day, C, Blur, or D, Oasis?
Oh, man.
Ooh.
So this band, they're outside, they want to get in, and the bouncer's like, nope, you're not on the guest list. And then they had to force their way in.
What are the bands again?
Stone Roses, Green Day, Blur, or Oasis?
All those bands sound like they would force their way in.
Whoa. Were they protected? I'm gonna go with Blur. I think
That's what
I think it's
honestly
Blur.
was. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I feel
don't
like I'm
like.
just
I
picking
always
'cause you did.
go for something else.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Which is why I never win.
I'm gonna go with Green Day.
Green Day and Blur. And the answer is Oasis.
Oh,
gonna say
wow,
Oasis.
Really?
You know, I could totally see those guys, especially like getting into an argument of some kind.
Oh, well, yeah. Aren't they known for that?
Yeah, that's his thing.
But you can,
Yeah.
It's his
can you
shtick.
imagine you show up at your gig and you're like, hey, we're the band. And like,
Nah.
nope.
Did
Did they have to pay the cover fee to get in? Like,
Yeah. But then they play the show and they get signed. So it worked out really well. All right. Number two. This band's first gig was at a house party. At that party was Dave Parsons, owner of a record store, Rat Cage Record Store. Dave told the band he liked their music and he would like them to sign to his new record label. This helped the band get shows and get their start. Which of these was that band? Was it A, Beastie Boys, B, Ramones, C, The Offspring, or D, Black Flag? So we got this band's at a house party. They play. Guy owns a record store. It's like, hey, I like your music. Gets them signed, has them record, and that's how they got the start.
I want to say Ramones. I feel like I don't know enough about any of these